Why did you ask Caleb and Jada if you could film them? That's
It's a good story.
It really
Actually,
is. It's a hard thing to look at.
It is. I had been out of touch with Caleb for about 5 or 6 years. We were fraternity brothers together. We were pledge brothers in 2007, and we met in a ditch outside Georgia Southern, blindfolded before our initiation party. And then we went through 8 weeks of pledging together, and we were fraternity brothers. And I hadn't seen him for several years because he had transferred to Georgia Tech to finish his engineering degree, and he kind of fell off, as time does. That's one of the things about time. It's not that friendships or relationships are necessarily divorced, but sometimes time has a way of separating us. And so on Facebook, after not seeing him for 5 or 6 years, he announces that he has stage 4 Burkitt's lymphoma. I start crying. And I had no idea what was going to happen. I was sure he was going to die. In that moment, I was like, he's going to die. And he's 25, and he just got married, and I haven't seen him in 6 years. I felt guilty because this was my friend, and now this thing happened, and I had wasted 6 years of my life not being part of his life. And so I sent him a message and said, hey, I see what happened. Is there anything I can do to help? And almost 5 minutes later, he sent me a Facebook message back saying, yeah, in fact, I want to make video blogs for my friends and family to let them know what's going on. You'd be a perfect person to do that. How can you do it? And so I go meet with him in the hospital, and which was really difficult, at the time. That was really hard to do. And we talk about it, and I said, we'll make the video blogs, I'll do it, but why don't we take this a step further and make a documentary about it, because I think that would be a better way for you to help people, but we won't tell anyone we're doing it. We'll film it in secret, and then we'll make the video blogs every month. So what I did was I made video blogs for him every month that we put online as he was in the hospital, and in the meantime, behind the scenes, without anyone else's knowledge, I gave them a camera to film their own stuff so I wouldn't be invasive to their treatment process. They Dropboxed it to me every week. I would review the footage and give them notes. I'd bring in a small film crew of about 3 people every weekend, and we'd film with them at home or in the hospital, wherever it was. And over the course of about 6 months, we culled this tremendous amount of footage and started whittling it down. And once we had the documentary finished in November, we started talking about it. And that's how we did it.
How is that to film someone that you're close to like that? I mean, I know you'd been separated for like 5 years, but I mean, was it weird at first? Was it, I mean, it just seems like a difficult thing to do.
It was a very difficult thing to do. It's honestly probably the most difficult personal, professional experience I've ever had as a filmmaker, because it was very raw to me, especially at the beginning, because we didn't know what was going to happen, and you don't know how the story is going to unfold because it's literally changing day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, and you're making it live. So you have no idea how it's going to unfold. It's not like a documentary where you have talking heads and you're interviewing people in different places. This is life. This is real. And for me, the difficulty of that became less and less as we started going, not on a personal level, but on a professional level, because when you're a filmmaker, eventually you get to the point where you're trained to separate what's happening personally with a subject or with an actor or with someone you're working with, and what has to be done on the professional scale. Those two professional, personal boundaries change, I think, after a while. And so for me, there came the point in which I was able to really separate that and focus on the filming, but that doesn't distract from the personal impact that it had on me initially and throughout the entire filming process, for sure. And that was hard.
And the hospital was okay with you all being there?
Well, I had to work with that. Before we started filming, I had to chat with the hospital lawyer and their publicist to chat about what we intended to do, because of course, and justifiably so, they were probably terrified we were making some expose, and I would have been terrified if I was in their shoes too, because they had no idea what we wanted to do. So the agreement we came to is that I wouldn't film any doctors or nurses. But really, I didn't want to film any doctors or nurses, and when you watch the film, you'll notice, in fact, that there is a distinctive lack of medical professionals in the film, and that was intentional, not just because of legal reason. I came to realize as we were making the film that I was much more interested in making a film about the personal journey of cancer, not the medical journey, because so often cancer impacts so many people. Everybody knows someone that's had cancer. But I found that when you say the term cancer, no one actually knows what that means. They're like, oh, you're in chemo, or oh, you're in a hospital. But they don't understand that unless they are part of the day-to-day process of treatment. And so for me, I thought by eliminating the medical component, if we're successful with the film, we can show people that other half that they really don't understand.